Rain pounded against the metal walls of the alley, sending sparks flying from broken neon signs. The storm was fierce, electric energy crackling across the slick ground. Aaron Cale darted between shadows, his boots slipping in puddles of water mixed with oil. He had scavenged this part of the city before, but tonight something felt off. The air was thick, almost alive, and a faint, shivering sound made him stop mid-step. He froze, listening. Whimpers. Tiny, almost human-like cries of fear. His heart beat faster, but curiosity pushed him forward. Around a rusted dumpster he spotted two small shapes huddled together. They were unlike anything he had ever seen. Miniature dragons, their scales shimmering faintly with blue and green light, tiny wings pressed against their bodies. They were cold, wet, and trembling under a torn, threadbare coat someone had clearly discarded. Aaron didn't hesitate. He knelt carefully and stretched out his hands. The twins flinched, their glowing eyes wide with panic, but the warmth in his palms and the gentle tone in his voice slowly drew them closer. One of them, smaller and quieter, let out a soft hum, vibrating like a tiny engine. The other shifted, nuzzling its sibling. Suddenly, a high-pitched whine pierced the air. A patrol drone swept into the alley, its scanner lights slicing through the storm. Aaron's stomach dropped. If the drone saw him with these creatures, he would be in serious trouble. Quick thinking sparked. He yanked the coat over the twins, hiding them under the wet fabric, and pressed himself flat against a pile of crates. The drone's searchlight passed inches from his face, then moved on, oblivious. Aaron let out a shaky breath. One small victory. The storm surged harder, lightning slashing across the alley. A surge of electricity arced from a broken sign, hitting a puddle nearby. Aaron grabbed the twins instinctively, lifting them off the ground. Sparks jumped toward him and he rolled to the side, landing hard on his shoulder. The twins squeaked in fear, but he murmured, "You're safe? I've got you." The warmth of his body seeped into theirs, and for a brief moment, their shivering slowed. He examined them quickly. Their tiny bodies were delicate, yet their scales had a subtle strength. He realized their wings weren't fully formed, but they twitched as if they might one day carry them far. Aaron's mind raced. Why were they here? Who had abandoned them? And why did he feel this sudden, unshakable responsibility to protect them? Movement caught his eye. A shadow shifted at the far end of the alley, a figure crouched behind a pile of crates. Another scavenger? Or someone hunting these creatures? Aaron stiffened, feeling the weight of the twins in his coat. He needed to move, but the rain made every step treacherous. His mind worked fast. A shortcut over a half-collapsed wall could give him cover, but the twins were fragile and one wrong move could hurt them. He took a breath and acted. With one hand under their tiny bodies and the other steadying them, he ran. The twins clung to him instinctively, tiny claws digging into his jacket. Water sprayed around him, the alley twisting and turning like a trap. The shadow followed briefly, then vanished behind another wall. His heart pounded. Every step brought danger, slippery debris, falling metal sheets, and the ever-present threat of discovery, but he pushed on. Finally, he reached a corner where the alley opened into a narrow side street. He pressed himself against the wall, panting. The twins nestled closer, their hums blending with the rain. Aaron allowed himself a brief smile. They were alive. He had saved them for now. But the hums changed. The twins' bodies glowed brighter, pulsing softly against his chest. It was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, then stronger, a rhythmic energy that seemed to respond to his heartbeat. Aaron's brows furrowed. He didn't understand it, but he could feel it. These creatures were more than they seemed. A sudden sound snapped him out of his thoughts. From deeper in the street, a low rumble echoed, unlike the storm or any machine he had heard before. The ground vibrated lightly, sending shivers up his spine. The twins stiffened, their glowing eyes fixed on the darkness ahead. Aaron's grip tightened instinctively. He whispered, "Whatever that is, we face it together." A shadow moved just beyond the streetlight, a massive, serpentine shape, scales glinting even in the rain, but he could only make out the outline. The twins shivered again, but this time not from cold. Something was coming. Something alive. Something dangerous. Aaron tightened his hold, took a deep breath, and stepped forward. The storm, the shadows, the strange creatures, none of it mattered. He had a choice: run and hide or face the unknown to protect them. And as the creature emerged fully from the darkness, eyes glowing faintly like the twins, Aaron realized his life had just changed forever. The twins stirred, their tiny wings quivering, and a soft, piercing sound escaped them. A warning? Call. From the shadows, something moved faster than he could follow with his eyes, and it wasn't human. Aaron's heart jumped. He had seconds to decide. The next step would either save them all, or end everything. Aaron pressed himself against the damp wall, the twins trembling under his coat. Their glowing eyes flickered nervously, tracking every shadow in the street. The low rumble from before hadn't stopped. It grew louder, resonating through the metal and concrete around them. He could feel it in his chest, a vibration that seemed almost alive. He tightened his grip, whispering, "We'll figure this out. Just stay close." The storm raged harder, lightning slashing through the sky like sharp knives. Rain poured in sheets, turning the street into a slick river of water and debris. Aaron peered down the alley, trying to spot the massive creature, but the shadows swallowed it. Something about the way the twins reacted told him this wasn't just any predator, they recognized it or something like it. His stomach knotted with worry. Whatever it wasn't friendly. Movement behind him made him freeze. A drone emerged from the foggy rain, its scanners spinning and red lights slicing across the wet pavement. The mechanical hum was loud, but so was the storm, enough to mask most of his movements. Aaron thought fast. He ducked under a broken cargo container and nudged the twins closer. They pressed against his chest, wings fluttering. Their energy pulsed in sync with his heartbeat, and he felt a strange warmth spreading through him. The drone's lights scanned the ground nearby. Aaron had only seconds. He spotted a puddle laced with broken wiring and wet debris. A gamble, but maybe it would work. With careful precision, he kicked a small metal plate into the puddle. Sparks flew, electricity arcing violently. The drone jerked, sensors overloaded. Smoke hissed from its casing. The twins squeaked, startled but safe. Aaron let out a short breath. A small victory, but one that would cost him more energy than he realized. He had no time to celebrate. From the corner of his eye, the massive shadow moved again. Something enormous and sinuous slinking along the wet streets, following the same path he had taken. The twins stiffened, huddling closer to him. He could feel their tiny hearts racing. "Stay quiet," he whispered. "Whatever it is, we face it together." Aaron started moving, choosing his path carefully. The city's industrial sector was a maze of pipes, scaffolding and half-collapsed walkways. He kept the twins close, feeling their warmth and the faint pulse of energy under his coat. He had no weapons, only his wits and agility. One wrong step could mean disaster, but hiding wouldn't work. Whatever was out there was tracking them, and the drone would call for backup. Ahead, he spotted a narrow ventilation shaft between two buildings. It wasn't ideal, but it offered cover and a way to move vertically out of the street. He lifted one twin first, then the other, pressing them against his chest. The wings flexed, brushing against his jacket. Aaron could feel their energy intensifying, a strange heat and vibration that seemed to react to the looming danger. He pushed himself against the wall and began climbing. The twins let out small harmonic hums as they clung to him. Aaron realized the sound wasn't just noise, it was a signal, a kind of communication. Maybe they could sense danger before he did. His mind raced with possibilities. Could they defend themselves if needed? Could he even protect them from what was out there? His thoughts were interrupted by a sharp crash below. A metal crate thrown by the wind, or perhaps the creature itself. The hums turned frantic. He reached the top of the shaft and scrambled onto a narrow ledge. The street below stretched like a dark river, filled with debris and pulsing neon lights. The storm had turned it into a river of chaos. The drone had recovered, scanning again, but Aaron was above its line of sight. He paused, listening. The twins' hums softened slightly, syncing with his breathing. A moment of calm, but fragile, fleeting. Aaron had to decide his next move. He couldn't stay on the ledge forever. He needed shelter, a safe place where he could think, heal, and protect the twins. The thought of abandoning them even for a second made his stomach churn. He scanned the rooftops. An old, abandoned research facility sat a few blocks away, its glass and steel facade battered but mostly intact. It was risky, but it was the only chance. He began moving across the rooftops, the twins pressed tightly to his chest. One misstep, one slip in the slick rain, and they could fall. He kept his focus razor-sharp, leaping from one broken pipe to another, balancing on beams that shuddered under his weight. The twins made tiny squeaks with every jump, but didn't panic. He realized their trust in him was growing. They were relying on him completely. Halfway to the facility, a sudden flash of movement caught his eye. A pair of glowing eyes reflected off the wet metal of the rooftop. The massive creature was following, its movements silent and deliberate. Aaron froze for a heartbeat, feeling the weight of the twins, feeling the pulse of their energy mingling with his own. He couldn't outrun it if it caught up. Then a flash of inspiration hit. He saw a section of scaffolding leading down into a narrow service corridor. If he could drop down quickly and use the maze of pipes and walls, he might be able to lose it. It was dangerous, but staying on the rooftop was almost certain death. He whispered, "Hold on tight." He leapt down, landing hard on the wet metal floor. The twins squeaked but stayed close. Sparks flew from broken wiring as his boots struck puddles. The massive shadow hissed above, and the hum from the twins flared brightly, a sudden burst of energy that made the creature hesitate. Aaron seized the moment, sprinting into the twisting corridors. Behind him he could hear heavy footsteps, something powerful but careful. He didn't dare look back. His mind focused on every detail, turns, walls, debris, to stay ahead. The twins' hum shifted into a rhythmic pulse, and Aaron realized they were guiding him, helping him find safer paths. His heart swelled with determination. A turn led to a locked service door. Aaron kicked it open with all his strength and dove inside. He slammed it behind him and slid down the wall, panting. The twins clung to him, their energy settling into a soft glow. For a moment it felt like victory. He had outsmarted the immediate threat and they were safe. But the hums changed again, urgent, sharp, almost warning. Aaron frowned. Something else was out there, waiting, more dangerous than anything he had imagined. He tightened his hold, chest rising and falling with adrenaline. The storm raged outside, the city howled, and somewhere in the dark, the massive creature waited. Aaron whispered, "We're not done yet. Not by a long shot." And then from deep within the corridors a low, mechanical growl echoed, a sound that didn't come from any storm, drone, or creature he knew. Something new had found them. Aaron pressed the twins closer against his chest, their tiny wings fluttering as he backed into the corner of the abandoned service corridor. The low, mechanical growl echoed again, vibrating through the walls and floor. It was unlike anything he had ever heard, too heavy for a drone, too deliberate for a wild animal. The twins' glowing eyes widened, and their hums sharpened into rapid pulses, almost like a warning signal. Aaron's pulse matched theirs. Every instinct screamed danger, but he couldn't freeze. He scanned the corridor. Broken pipes hung from the ceiling, puddles of water reflected flickering emergency lights, and debris littered the floor. Somewhere ahead, a doorway led to a larger room. The air smelled faintly of ozone and chemicals. Aaron knew they had no choice but to move forward. Every step backward could trap them with whatever lurked behind. He whispered to the twins, "Stay calm. We're almost there." With careful precision, he climbed over a fallen beam and landed quietly. The twins nestled under his coat, their hums syncing to the rhythm of his movements. As they advanced, the corridor opened into a massive chamber, walls lined with broken machinery and shattered glass. In the center stood a pod, cracked open and empty, wires dangling like veins. Sparks flickered from its edges. The growl grew louder, resonating from somewhere deeper, and the twins stiffened. Aaron's eyes caught movement in a console against the far wall. The screen flickered on briefly, revealing holographic logs. Something compelled him to approach. His fingers brushed the controls and the display stabilized. Lines of code, diagrams, and recordings filled the air in three-dimensional projection. Then he saw them, the images of creatures identical to the twins, small and glowing, living in what appeared to be a lab or habitat, interacting with scientists. One image showed a simulation of planetary environments, a miniature world shifting and changing as the dragon's energy pulses reacted to it. Aaron's stomach twisted. The twins were not just strange creatures. They were bioengineered experiments, sentient beings designed for purposes beyond simple survival. He reached out to touch the console, and a holographic memory flared to life. The twins' faces appeared, looking almost directly at him. For a split second it felt like recognition. The smaller twin hissed softly and shivered, wings lifting instinctively. They remember," Aaron murmured. He crouched, speaking softly. "You've been through this before, haven't you?" The twins responded with gentle hums, brushing against him in a gesture that felt almost like trust. His heart ached. These creatures had endured so much, and now, in the middle of a storm-ravaged city and a facility abandoned for decades, they were entirely dependent on him. The growl echoed again, closer this time, vibrating through the concrete floor. Aaron's mind raced. The log suggested the pod wasn't empty by accident. The creatures had been hidden, or perhaps abandoned intentionally. But why? Who wanted them gone? And what was that sound following them now? He realized it wasn't just the creature. They were being hunted, possibly by humans, possibly something more dangerous. Aaron's hands moved quickly. He rigged a few wires from the broken machinery, connecting them to a dangling metal pipe above. A crude trap, but maybe enough to buy time. The twins' hums brightened as he worked, and he realized something incredible. Their energy seemed to react to his presence, amplifying small electrical pulses. With a flick of his wrist, a small spark ignited along the trap line. He held his breath. If the growling thing came near, this might give him the upper hand. The first shadow appeared at the doorway, a hulking figure, scales glinting faintly even under the dim light. Aaron froze, holding the twins tight. They let out a synchronized hum, and the energy around them pulsed, casting streaks of neon across the walls. The creature paused, sensing the twins' power. Aaron realized their abilities were more than defensive. They were a connection, a force he could harness if he acted smartly. He weighed his options. Fight? Escape? Trap? Every second counted. The creature shifted closer, and sparks from the trap lit the room in sudden bursts. Aaron lunged, pushing the twins behind the console as the first spark struck the floor. The creature hissed and recoiled, confused by the unexpected energy. Aaron's heart raced, but he forced himself to stay calm. Each movement had to be deliberate, each action precise. As the creature backed off slightly, Aaron noticed another console in the corner, partially hidden under debris. He scrambled toward it, fingers flying over controls. A hidden compartment slid open, revealing a data pad. Inside were more records, coordinates, experiment logs, and a faint signal labeled simply, "Homeworld?" His mind reeled. These twins weren't just abandoned, they had a world somewhere out there, a place that might explain everything about them and the creature pursuing them. He paused, weighing the risk. Taking the twins and fleeing now could save them from the immediate threat, but the discovery of their origins meant the danger would only grow. He whispered to the twins, "I don't know what's out there, but I'll find answers. We'll face it together." Their hums responded, soft and reassuring like a small promise. The creature growled again, louder now, frustration in its voice, or something eerily human in its tone. Its glowing eyes scanned the room, and Aaron realized it was studying them, learning, testing. He took a deep breath. Whatever came next, he had to be ready, not just for survival but to protect the twins and uncover their past. He gathered the twins under his coat, ready to move. As he turned toward a side corridor, the floor beneath him shuddered. A hidden panel collapsed, revealing a narrow drop into darkness below. The twins squeaked, wings fluttering, and Aaron's heart jumped. One wrong move now could send them plummeting into unknown danger. He steadied himself, teeth gritted, and whispered, "Hold on. We keep going, together." A shadow fell across the corridor ahead, a shape bigger than anything he had seen. The growl now vibrated in the air like a warning. The next challenge was waiting. And from the depths of the darkness, a faint pulse of light echoed, one that perfectly matched the twins' energy. Something or someone was coming for them, and it wasn't alone. Aaron's chest heaved as he edged down the narrow corridor, the twins pressed tightly under his coat. Their hums pulsed nervously, vibrating through his arms and chest, warning him of danger. Ahead, the darkness seemed to twist and move. The growl from before had multiplied, mechanical clicks and organic snarls blending into a single terrifying rhythm. Whatever was coming, it was intelligent, powerful, and relentless. He reached the corner and froze. The corridor opened into a vast chamber, its walls lined with jagged machinery and broken glass. Lightning from the storm outside flickered through cracks in the ceiling, illuminating the room in sudden, harsh bursts. And there it was, the creature, massive and sinuous, scales glinting with faint bioluminescence that mirrored the twins' own glow. Its eyes locked onto them, and the air vibrated with anticipation. Aaron's mind raced. He had no weapons, no reinforcements, only his wits and the twins' strange energy. He hugged them tighter, whispering, "We're not backing down." The smaller twin pressed its forehead against his chest, wings quivering, and the larger one flared a faint glow, responding to his determination. He realized their energy could amplify with his focus. It was subtle but enough to give him a fighting chance. The creature lunged suddenly, hissing, teeth glinting. Aaron barely rolled to the side, the twins squealing in alarm. Sparks flew from exposed wires as he hit the floor. Adrenaline surged. He scrambled to his feet and darted behind a stack of machinery, scanning desperately for anything to use. He spotted a tangle of cables hanging from the ceiling. A risky move, but it might create a trap if he could get the twins' energy to trigger it. "Stay close," he muttered. He lifted the twins slightly, letting the larger twins' pulsing glow brush the cables. The small electrical current in the room reacted violently. The creature lunged again, and Aaron pulled down the cables. Sparks leapt toward it, and the twins' hums flared like a chorus of warning signals. The creature hissed and recoiled, momentarily blinded by the sudden burst of light and energy. Aaron didn't pause. He knew this wouldn't hold it for long. He darted toward a cluster of crates on the far side, carefully stepping over puddles of water. Each step was tense, every breath calculated. The twins' energy pulsed more strongly now, resonating with the chaos around them. He realized he could use their abilities to guide him, anticipate the creature's movements. A flicker of hope sparked in his chest. Suddenly, a massive shadow fell across the room. A second creature, faster and more agile than the first. Aaron froze for a split second, heart pounding. He hadn't expected another. But there was no time for fear. He grabbed a heavy pipe from the floor and swung it toward the first creature, not to strike but to create a barrier. Sparks flew as metal collided with scales. The twins responded instinctively, sending a pulse of energy that disoriented the second creature. Aaron bolted toward a partially collapsed catwalk above, climbing with the twins in his arms. He could hear the first creature crashing through the debris below, searching, hunting. The second one hissed, testing the limits of its patience. Every heartbeat was a countdown. He reached the catwalk and ran along its narrow edge, the twins' hums guiding him. Their energy pulsed stronger with every step, illuminating weak spots in the structure. The catwalk shook under his weight. A section ahead groaned and threatened to collapse. He hesitated only for a moment, then leapt across the gap, barely making it. The twins squeaked but held on, clinging to him instinctively. Landing on the other side, he slid down a pipe into a maintenance shaft. The walls were narrow but safe, at least temporarily. The twins' hums softened, almost as if they were calming themselves. Aaron allowed himself a brief glance down. The creatures were still below, frustrated but not reckless. He realized he was learning something about them, how they responded to fear, energy, and protection. Every move had a cause and effect. Every instinct had a consequence. His own ingenuity and courage were keeping them alive. He crawled through the shaft and emerged into a storage room filled with broken pods and crates. The twins wriggled slightly, their glow brightening. Aaron set them down carefully on a patch of dry metal, still close enough to keep them protected. Their hums synchronized with his heartbeat, creating a small rhythm of calm in the chaos. Then he heard it, a sound unlike anything before. The floor beneath him vibrated, low and steady. The storm outside paled in comparison. Something enormous stirred below the storage room. Not one creature but many. Their energy resonated with the twins, pulling his focus in multiple directions. The twins flinched, wings spreading instinctively. Aaron's mind raced. He had survived storms, drones, and two massive predators, but now the stakes were higher than ever. He lifted the twins again, chest tight, and whispered, "We can do this. Together." He knew the next move had to be decisive. The creatures would follow if he didn't act fast. He needed a plan, a bold action that could turn the tide. His eyes caught a ladder leading to a catwalk above the room. If he could reach it, he might gain height and control the environment, use the twins' energy to create another trap. He started climbing, pulse racing, every muscle tensed. Sparks from broken machinery flew around him, rain and wind from the storm seeping through holes in the ceiling. The twins pulsed brighter, almost guiding him. Aaron realized that their energy wasn't just reactive, it was cooperative. They were helping him, lending strength to his courage. With a deep breath, he surged upward, one step after another, until he reached the top. The chamber below was chaos, sparks, crashing metal, and the two massive creatures circling, frustrated, searching. Aaron held the twins high, wings brushing his face, energy pulsing in sync with his heartbeat. With careful timing, he directed their light toward a set of exposed machinery. A flash, a surge, and the creatures yelped, retreating slightly as a controlled chain reaction disoriented them. Aaron took a deep breath. He had done it. For now, the immediate threat was contained. But as he looked down, his chest tightening, he noticed a massive containment pod cracking open in the far corner, much larger than the twins' pod, with strange markings glowing faintly. Something alive inside it stirred, heavier, larger, and even more dangerous than what he had just faced. Aaron's grip tightened on the twins. He whispered, This isn't over. Not even close." And from deep within the pod, a low, resonant growl echoed, shaking the floor, the walls, and his resolve. Aaron gritted his teeth, holding the twins close under his coat as the enormous pod before him quivered. The low growl inside vibrated through the floor, echoing off the walls like a living earthquake. The storm outside had faded slightly, leaving the chamber in an eerie calm, punctuated only by sparks from damaged machinery and the soft, rhythmic hum of the twins. Their energy pulsed against his chest like a heartbeat, warning him that something powerful, intelligent, and dangerous was waking up. He took a deep breath, feeling their trust and warmth. The twins had survived storms, predators, and relentless pursuit, and now they depended on him more than ever. Aaron's mind raced. The pod's markings glowed brighter, symbols he didn't understand, but instinct told him to keep moving. Every step mattered. Hesitation could mean death, not just for him but for the twins. "Stay close," he whispered, his voice low but steady. He shifted their weight carefully, feeling the tiny wings flex against his chest. The twins responded immediately, pulsing light that seemed to react to his emotions. For a moment he allowed himself a thought. These creatures weren't just bioengineered, they were connected to him in some way that went beyond logic. A sudden movement from the pod sent a shiver down his spine. The glass cracked further and a shape emerged, a creature massive and serpentine, eyes glowing with intelligence. It watched him, tilting its head as if assessing whether he was a threat. The twins twitched in alarm, but their hums grew stronger, almost protective. Aaron realized they weren't afraid of this creature. They were communicating with it. He swallowed hard and took a step forward, keeping his hands steady. "We don't want to fight," he said firmly, projecting as much calm as he could muster. The twins' light pulsed in rhythm with his words. The creature hissed, a sound that was both threatening and curious. Aaron's heart pounded. This was a being designed to dominate, yet it hesitated. His courage, his decision to protect the twins, was holding the line here. The twins wriggled slightly, pressing their tiny bodies against him. He realized they were lending him more than warmth. They were amplifying his presence, making him appear stronger, more significant. The pod creature shifted back slightly, then produced a low, vibrating tone that the twins answered. Their hums synchronized, creating a strange resonance that filled the chamber. Aaron felt a shiver run through his body. Somehow their energy, and his choices, were shaping the encounter. He took a careful step toward a panel nearby, scanning for any control mechanism or escape route. Sparks flew, and a dangling cable thudded against the floor. He didn't flinch. Instead, he used the moment to trigger a minor surge, testing the creature's reaction. The pod occupant hissed but recoiled slightly, giving Aaron just enough room to move closer. The twins glowed brighter, wings twitching, and Aaron realized they were actively defending him without even thinking. Sweat dripped down his face, but he forced his mind clear. Every move had to count. One misstep, and they would all be crushed under the pod creature's immense strength. He slid a metal panel open, revealing a console that hummed faintly, still operational. Wires tangled around the controls. He didn't fully understand what he was activating, but instinct and experience guided his hands. He tapped and slid switches in precise sequence, hoping to stabilize the pod or at least contain the creature temporarily. The machine whirred to life, and a faint blue glow spread across the chamber floor. The pod creature stiffened, its eyes locking on the twins, who pulsed even brighter in response. Aaron took a step back, keeping them close. The synchronization worked. The creature seemed pacified, temporarily restrained by the twins' energy and his precise actions. For a moment, silence. The twins nuzzled against him, wings fluttering softly. Aaron's chest ached with relief and exhaustion. They were alive. They trusted him. And in that brief pause, he realized the depth of what he had done. His courage, his quick thinking, and his empathy had not only saved them, they had allowed him to connect with something far beyond ordinary understanding. He glanced at the open logs on another console. Coordinates, faint signals, and encrypted messages hinted at a larger network. A home world, perhaps, waiting somewhere in the galaxy. The twins' reactions confirmed it. Their hums intensified when he touched the coordinates. Aaron understood. Their journey wasn't over. This escape, this victory, was only a step toward something far greater. He whispered softly, "We're going home, someday. Together." The twins chirped, wings flexing against him. Their energy pulses wrapped around him like a shield, and for the first time in days, he allowed a small smile. The storm outside had calmed. The danger here was contained. For now. But then, from deep within the pod, a faint hum emerged, deeper and more complex than before. It resonated with the twins' energy, and Aaron realized it wasn't just one creature. It was a signal, a call. Something beyond this facility had noticed them, something vast and possibly dangerous. His pulse quickened. Aaron adjusted the twins in his arms, chest tight with determination. "Whatever's out there, we'll face it," he said, voice firm. The twins' energy responded, pulsing like a heartbeat in perfect sync with his own. They were ready. He was ready. Together they could take on anything. He looked at the console, the glowing coordinates, and the cracks in the pod. The city outside was silent now, But beyond it, the universe was waiting. A mystery, a challenge, and a home that might hold the answers to everything. Aaron's eyes narrowed. "This is only the beginning," he said. The twins chirped softly in agreement, their glow gentle yet persistent. From deep within the shadows of the chamber, an energy flare pulsed. A faint signal racing across the city, perhaps across worlds. Something had seen them. Something was coming. Aaron gritted his teeth, tightened his hold on the twins and whispered, "We're ready." And as the hums of the twins harmonized with the faint pulse, a new adventure silently began. One that would test courage, intelligence, and heart in ways Aaron could not yet imagine.